Hello, friends. We are back for another little potty podcast. Does anybody else do that? Put like a Y on the word and then repeat it without the Y, like snacky snack, potty podcast. You get it. Anyways, hello, hello. All right. So a little late than I wanted to be to record this episode, but then, I got out of my own way and I was like, listen, people can check in with their relationship and set a word and an intention for the year, no matter what part of the year it's in. So yeah, it's coming a little late, end of January. However, what I've found from a lot of people so far is that first week of January was like basically still 2024. And I'm finding that a lot of people are feeling like end of January, like, okay, I got my bearings back now. Where school is back, work is back, holidays are over. My Christmas stuff, for the most part, is put away. We still have some of our Christmas stuff up, no judgment. But right, so I feel like maybe now is a good time. Okay, let's whoosah and let's check in with our relationship and figure out what do we want to call in for this year? What the fuck even went down last year, right? So, this episode today is something that I like to take my clients through when I'm working with couples or even when I'm working with individuals, and also something that Danny and myself do each year. And I got this from my mentors, Alexa and Jordan Bowditch, from back in the day when I was working more closely with them. And they have a podcast on this too. But I've revamped it a little bit. I've taken kind of what Danny and I have been doing and what has worked really well for us, and this one I'm recording on for you guys today, how to just get a little bit more intentional in your relationship. So, choosing a word, right? This is something, you have those end of the year conversations like, what are your goals? What do you want to call in for the year? And we know, what was it this year? January 10th? Yeah, so 10 days into the year, January 10th is known as the Quitter's Day because most people stop their goals or give up on their goals by January 10th, which is literally just crazy to me. 10 days in, right? And you're already like, fuck this. And then I think it's by, for those of us that go to the gym, the first like January gym is packed. February starts getting a little less packed. I went to spin class this morning. Class was not full. I'm recording this on January 24th. So anyways, all that to say is that goal setting, yes, I love setting a good goal. I love that, but for a lot of us, it just doesn't last. It just doesn't keep the spark. It doesn't keep the motivation. So what I've been finding that when coming up with one word, and there's a book on this actually, I try to listen to this book at the end of every year going into the next year, and it is called One Word. One word that is will change your life. And they in this book go a little bit more deeper into the science behind choosing just one word for your year versus saying, I have these 10 goals that I want to work towards. Take those 10 goals. If you're doing this individually, take those 10 goals. And then what is a word, one word that is sort of the overarching theme of those 10 things that you want to achieve or do for the year? So that could be just a helpful tip because then I'm like, okay, so our word in our relationship this year is unplug. That was the word that we came up with together. And so that is the overarching theme of our relationship for this year. And unplug came down to, for us, like just being more intentional with our time, unplugging from social media, scrolling, watching TV, playing games on our phones, playing video games, even whether it's together or individually. So our word, and then we've been using it as a code word of unplug. So if we find ourselves sort of sitting on the couch and we're maybe sitting on separate couches or we're sitting next to each other just scrolling and the TV's on and right, all these things are happening. One of us notices and they're like, whoa, let's unplug. Let's put our phones down, like actually watch the TV show that we have on, or maybe catch up from our day. And or if we're been kind of missing each other with relationships, that happens, right? Life happens. It's like we feel like two ships in the night passing, and taking conversation beyond how was your day? Good. How was your day? Good. Cool. On with the day, right? we can get into it so much more. So anyway, so I kind of have a formula for you to go through with your partner to be able to figure out a word. What is going to be your word for the year? And first and foremost, you need to set up the scene. So step one is set up your scene. This is not something to do when TV is on or you're multitasking, it is definitely something that deserves some attention and intention, if you will. So finding a cozy spot where you can both feel relaxed, you can both talk, gathering some materials, maybe if you want to use paper or pens, maybe light a candle, maybe turn on like some soft music. I love a good lo-fi playlist, music that has no words, that just creates that calming atmosphere. Maybe some bilateral beats playlists that you can find on Spotify or Apple or whatever you use to listen to podcasts, but you're just creating a vibe for each other, right? Be able to settle in, cozy up, and just be there with each other. And then the first thing that you're going to go into is reflecting on the past year. And again, you can do this at any time. Some couples like to do this in the beginning of the year, and then maybe like come June, summertime, you're kind of checking in, like how are we doing on that word? Or maybe things have changed. A lot can happen in 6 months, so maybe we need to change up our word. Our focus is now shifted to, something else perhaps. So really, again, you can do this at any time, but take a time wherever you're at in your year when you're listening to this and reflect on that, on the past year. What has happened from June of last year to June of this year? What has happened from April of last year to April of this year? And what I find helpful personally when I'm doing this, because for so many people, I hear like, I have no idea. Like it's hard to remember what we did this year. My husband is one of these people, like hard to remember what it was this year. Oftentimes he'll reflect on events and I'm like, that was 2 years ago. Or same thing, I'll do that and he'll be like, that was like 5 years ago. I'm like, oh, still feels fresh. So I like to look back in my planner. I'm a planner girl. I have a paper planner, I have a G calendar, all of the things. So that is helpful for me to be able to look back, or using Facebook memories, Time Hop app, just scrolling back through your social media. If you're someone that posts, could be helpful, or if you're someone that keeps a journal, looking back in your journal. So there are tools that you can use to kind of reflect and refresh your mind, if you will. And so that's the first thing you do. And when you're looking back on this past year, a couple little sub points here for you. First, celebrating the highlights. What were the goods of the year? What were the highlights of the years? This can be anything from achievements or fun experiences that you had, new traditions that you created, trips that you took, time spent with loved ones that you did. Reflecting for us, it was like what in our relationship, that is one thing that we really prioritize, is our time together and how we're spending our time together. And so, reflecting on how we overcame obstacles and challenges and just hard times in the year was also helpful. And that kind of actually rolls me into number two here, two on your sub points. So you're going to celebrate the highlights, so celebrating the wins, and then going into acknowledging the challenges, because every relationship has them, you guys. There's no perfect unicorn and rainbows relationship out there. I promise you, we all got problems. We all got things that we need to address. The more that we avoid them, the worse it's going to get. So the more that you can step into a place of vulnerability and realness and rawness and truth and openness, the better. But being able to acknowledge those challenges. So thinking about what was the shit that came up this past year? Like what did we overcome? Did we get a new diagnosis from the doctor that we weren't expecting? Was our kids struggling in school and we were able to, overcome that? Did we have hard times financially? Was our sex life kind of bleh, right? Like thinking through what were those challenges that you overcame together or even individually. And then really evaluating on the growth. What did you learn from those challenges? What can you navigate, like navigating through those challenges? What can you pull from that worked really well? So you're kind of building up your set of tools that for you as a couple was really good. So for us, I've talked about this a little bit, but for us, we had made some career changes, stopped some things, start some things, change some things. And our past year, one of our biggest struggles was financial stuff. And so that was difficult. That was difficult for the both of us. It was difficult for both of us to just be honest about that, honest how we were feeling, honest about what our bank accounts were looking like, honest to what our savings accounts were looking like, our credit card debt was looking like, medical debt for us, it was a new thing that showed up in 2024. And so it was really hard for us to come to those truths. And so for us to be able to reflect on that and evaluate that, communication is one of the best things. So, for us to be able to sit down and like deep breath, I'm going to say this thing and it's really fucking hard and I really need you to hold space and hear me and understand me, and not get mad or not shame me or be upset or disappointed, right? All of those things. This is what I need from you. And to be able to talk about that. And I'll tell you, like, those conversations, those get emotional, those are hard. We have to swallow our own pride, swallow our own shame in a way. And being able to sit down and talk about them, how we felt coming out of that, the relief, the support, the love, how open that made future conversations to happen, was so key for us. Also, play was another big thing. Despite 2024 being one of the hardest years for us, we played. We still had fun. We still traveled. We still had time with friends. We still did our fun summer boat activities. We went to New Orleans last year. If you listen to my recap of 2024, like, we fucking lived. We still lived our life despite these hard things that we're going through. So I would say play, and just even internally in our day to day, just continuing to laugh with each other, laughing through the hard times and really feeling through the hard times is a big piece of it. So considering, yeah, evaluate the growth, evaluate what was the good that you can pull out of the challenges that you faced. All right. And so here you're looking for those patterns, you're looking for any identifying, recurring themes that you've had. What stood out to both of you? Were there any areas where you felt particularly disconnected or connected? Discussing values that you have. And this is kind of, again, looking for those patterns in the past. So maybe if you're finding, for communication or conflict, maybe you're finding you're in a loop, right? Maybe that's something that come up. Or last year we didn't do so great at connection time or traveling or spending time with friends, or getting stuff done around the house that we always say we want to do but we're not doing. So that, those are some of the things that you want to reflect on. And then when it comes to choosing a word together for your year, and again, you're choosing, in the end, you want to just have one word. But when you're starting this, I want you to start with a brainstorm, literally just a brainstorm session. So thinking about, all right, what do we want to call in for? What were those things that, like, the highlights of last year? Do we want to bring more of those into this year? What new and exciting things do we want to try? Really, what do you want your relationship to look like? What is the ideal relationship? And if you're already living in your ideal relationship, how can you make it even better? Because we can always make it better. Always make it better. So brainstorming together, thinking about, again, what do you want to achieve? How do you want to feel? How do you want to cultivate that in your upcoming year? And just start writing out words. Both of you start writing out words. It's okay if you have different words. In fact, I hope that you have different words, but I just want you to start writing out words. And then from there, you're going to be able to go and see, okay, what words are kind of similar. So if I have connectedness and togetherness, right? Both are kind of similar. If I have happy and fun, or fun and play, right? Like, kind of similar. So then you can start to narrow down your list from that, crossing out. So if I have fun and play, what one do I resonate more with? What one feels more like us? And then cross off the one that is not the answer to that. Okay. So you're narrowing it down and really thinking, if you can get it down to 3 words, narrow it down to 3 words, and then start to discuss the reasons for each of you. What comes up when you feel into this word? If for us, unplug, right? When we were, I'm trying to not think what our other words were. Probably intention, connectedness, that those things always come up for us. Yeah, unplug, communicate. I can't think now. We did this a couple weeks ago, but anyways, we talked about the meaning behind each of the words for us. And it was like, if you're a Pitch Perfect fan. It was like a riff off. So we're back and forth like, okay, this, yeah, like, okay, so we can unplug in our financial life, like unplug as in we're unplugging our credit cards. We're not going to use our credit cards. We're going to get very serious on our finances and really get us into a place where we're feeling good again. We're going to unplug. You've heard me time and time again. I talk about our no TV Tuesdays. So we're going to unplug and really, for us in 2024, our no TV Tuesdays, a lot of nights we would be like, nah, like, okay, we're going to spend the time together, but I just really feel like watching a movie tonight, or we're going to play video games. That was a big one. We love us a Mario Party. So it was like we felt like we weren't watching TV, but we're playing a video game, so it's okay. But really for the both of us, and when we do this activity, we do it in our connection room, in our attention room. And every single time we're in there, we're just reminded, like, gosh, like how good it feels to truly unplug, to truly be away from our phones, from TV, social media, all of that. And the only devices really in that room are music. We love having music on, but to truly be able to unplug, and the conversation that comes out of moments in that room, the connection that we feel coming out of that room, the intimacy that we feel coming out of that room, that was it for us. We're like, okay, we want more of this. And so that is essentially how we came up with our unplug for the year. And there was other things that came up around this, friendships, relationships, family, unplugging from other people's problems, not allowing them to creep into us, unplugging from other people's expectations of us, what we should be doing, what our relationship should look like, all of that. So unplug was it for us. Um, and really, you want to make sure that this word embodies both of you. You don't want to feel like, oh yeah, babe, like you really liked this word. Like I think I was really pushing for, because I want to say I was pushing for intention, but I actually ended up choosing intentional for my word for my personal word for the year. And you really don't want to have the same word for yourself and your relationship. And so with my word being intentional, that fit into us, our word being unplug. And so you want to make sure that it really embodies the both of you, and you want to make sure that it feels like a shared vision, a shared exercise that you're doing, because this is really going to serve the both of you as, again, being that guided principle. So if you want to create an action plan around this, you can set some intentions around this. So if you want to, maybe you went backwards and created the word and then created the goals around the word. But really, just as I kind of gave some examples a minute ago with unplug, what does that mean for us? Jotting those things down. So then you sort of have the pathway, right? Like I plug the address into my GPS, and then it's going to give me the step-by-step directions how to get there. That's what you want to kind of do with your process here. And then visual reminders. As I said, we kind of are using it now as a code word in our relationship in moments where we're feeling disconnected, like a boop, if you will. And it's in the book, they mention this: writing it down, making it your wallpaper background, putting it on your bathroom mirror, putting it in your car somewhere, like somewhere that you're going to see it often. Share it with others. Share with others what is your word. So if you're listening to this show, this is my invitation to you. After you do this with your partner, message me, DM me on Instagram, email me, whatever you want, but I would love to hear what word it is that you come up with together, and then how that's going to look, how that is going to be your path for this upcoming year. And so yeah, your visual reminders. And then again, you want to check in. My intention for this is not that you're like, okay, our word is unplug, and then we forget it by February, right? Or come October, we're like, what was our word again? So schedule check-ins with each other. I have on my website, if you go to rachelmaine.com, one of my most popular downloads for people, it's a free download, is my relationship regroup. Download this, and this can set as your regular check-in that you have with your partner. I think for most people, for relationship wise, words that are going to come up is growth, honesty, again, connectedness, togetherness, intention, fun, play, travel, maybe. And so the relationship regroup that I have covers all of those topics. You're going to talk about finances. You're going to talk about your social life, your intimate life. carving out time for, right, when we do carve out time for our intimacy, what do we want to do with that? How can we be more intentional? How can we create more connection? And I promise you, if you want to have more connection in your life, step one is carving out time to talk about your relationship, talk about the hard things, talk about the good things, talk about what is going on in your life, asking for support, providing support. Scheduling check-ins is literally a must. I don't think I've ever actually like came out and said that, but I feel strongly that it is a must in order for relationships to live to the expectations that they have set for themselves. All right. Final piece here is going to be celebrating your progress. When you're doing those check-ins, celebrate those wins. Celebrate if you do something on a month to month, like, all right, February 1st or around the 1st of February, we're going to recap January. How do we do well at unplugging? What do we do good at? What do we want to improve on? I love questions on the regroup. There's a check-in part in the beginning. How did you feel loved by me? How can I make you feel loved? How can I help you feel more loved going into this next week? So continuing to reflect on your progress. And again, remembering shit might hit the fan, something might happen. And if your word needs to change, that's okay. This gets to be fluid. You get to make this work how it works for you. These are just some guidelines to give you. But yeah, so this practice really is designed to set that positive tone for you and your relationship going into the year, but then also again fosters that deeper conversation, that deeper connection between you and your partner, and remembering that this is to support and reinforce your goals in your relationship. Don't let don't let noise from other people, other relationships come into play. Even here, this podcast, you heard me say, a handful of words that in my opinion, might come up for people. That doesn't mean you need to choose one of those words. If you come up with another word for you and your partner, great, right? Like have it be authentic to you. All right. Again, invitation. Tell me your word. I'd love to hear it. Send me a DM on Instagram at the Rachel Main. And I hope you enjoyed this. Have fun, have play, and I shall see you on the next episode. Bye.